Mr. Cavell? Here. Commissioner Charles? Here. Commissioner Gershenson? Here. Commissioner Gingell? Here. Commissioner Hoffman?
Present.
Commissioner Jackson?
She's present.
Commissioner Joliet?
Here.
Commissioner Kokendorfer?
Here.
Commissioner Kowal? Here. Commissioner Kuhn?
Here.
Commissioner Long?
Here.
Commissioner Lubes?
Here.
Commissioner Markham?
Here.
Commissioner McGillivray?
Here.
Commissioner Miller?
Here.
Commissioner Moss?
Here.
Commissioner Nelson?
Here.
Commissioner Powell? Here. Commissioner Spiz?
Present.
Commissioner Weipert?
Here.
Commissioner Woodward?
Here.
Commissioner Jackson? Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. It'll bring us to the invocation. I'd like to recognize our Vice Chair, Commissioner Gershenson, who will lead us in the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. I'd like to begin this morning by sending our congratulations to the Oxford substation officers who were recently honored by the VFW for their response to the Oxford shooting. I'd like to send our collective strength to Patty, Connie, and Kathleen for their recent losses, and to the families of Madison, Tate, Justin, and Hannah, and their families, and all who have been touched by the Oxford tragedy, and Megan Loken and her family. I'd also like to send our continued strength to our warrior, Chris Long, and Phoebe Arthur, the student who is recovering from her student. And I'd like to ask for a moment of silence to think about peace and the trauma that the residents of Ukraine are feeling today. And I would like to continue by reading a poem that was inspired by Rabbi Harold Kushner. Let the rain come and wash away our grudges and arguments nurtured over time. Let the warmth of the sun heal us wherever we are broken. Let it burn away the fog so we can see each other clearly and see beyond labels, accents, gender, or skin color. Let us share the joys and feel the sorrow of our neighbors. Let the light of the sun be so strong that we see all people as our neighbors. Let the earth, nourished by rain, bring flowers to surround us with beauty, and let the mountains teach our hearts to reach upward to the sky. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Chair Gershenson. This will now move us on to approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Moved by Commissioner McGillivray, seconded by Commissioner Gingell. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes from the February 3rd meeting, say aye. 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 Opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect that the minutes are approved unanimously. Next, we'll move to approval of the agenda. I'll recognize Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to request suspension of the rules, waiver of Rule 3 for the Oxford Response Ad Hoc Committee items 17A and B. These resolutions were taken up just prior to our board meeting this morning.
So the agenda has been moved with the waiver of Rule 3, seconded by Commissioner Spiz. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the amendment, the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect that the agenda has been approved unanimously. Next, this will bring us on to communications, and I will call on Commissioner Powell to present the Black Excellence Awards here in Black History Month.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Morning. Morning.
I am Oakland County Commissioner of District 10, which serves City of Pontiac. And this year, as a commissioner, I wanted to take time out to start focusing on our constituents and bringing shine and honor to some of our constituents who are doing just doing good things in the community, and they are individuals who usually are overlooked or not recognized. I was a huge community activist for this before I became an elected official to make sure we honored unsung individuals, Hurons and Hurons in our community in the city of Pontiac. So when I thought for Black History Month, I thought it'd be well because we all know in this room from a African American or Black background living in Oakland County, a lot of our history is not being recognized. A lot of our individuals are not being recognized. So I thought too, what better way to do it? And also I will contribute a lot of the encouragement to do this is my colleague, Yolanda Charles. When she became a commissioner, she brought up that, we pass a lot of resolutions, but we don't tie any activity to them in our community. So also I wanted to focus in that area so that once we pass these resolutions, honoring things that covers in every month, let's tie it to something, and if we can honor community leaders, we should be doing that. So that is where this Black Excellence Award came, for us to honor Black individuals in our communities. I'll say Black and African American because what I learned in this process is that even culturally in our community, we have a understanding under those two, Black and African American. So that's why I reference both. But for the sake of our award, we came to a consensus that we're gonna title it Black Excellence Award moving forward. And that's what we're gonna present to 3 individuals that our committee, which consisted of myself, Commissioner Jackson, Janet Jackson, Commissioner Yolanda Childs, and Commissioner Dave Woodward. And the reason why we kept it with that group, because as you may, we're the minorities of the group. So I thought it would be great for us to decide who the final choices would be based off the nominations that came in. And let me say this, all nominations had to be nominated by somebody outside of themselves. So to kind of give it more credibility, right? So that's why we went that route. So I will start with my district and the person that actually was selected that represents my district, and his name is Richard Bell. And then my colleagues, Yolanda Charles and Janet Jackson, will come up shortly, and they will present to the other 2 recipients. And I do thank all of you all for coming today, this morning, taking time out to receive this award. So first, for Mr. Bell. A lot of the commissioners, y'all know Mr. Bell. Mr. Bell has came and did those phenomenal STEM presentations for us. And I will say this, growing up in the city of Pontiac, he's from the city of Pontiac, just to see his growth over the years has been amazing to help our youth. And let me say this, he not only just helped our youth in the city of Pontiac here in Oakland County, he has traveled to other states to help in the same mirror type communities that look like Pontiac or are in worse conditions, to help those kids and teach them the resources and things that he focused on. So just to give you a briefing, he's represented several roles in Oakland County. His nonprofit is Kids First Initiative, which is in Pontiac, and he's been doing that for the past 16 years, which provides youth and underserved communities with vital resources, food, skills, and information to ensure a successful life. For him, the most rewarding aspects of this work is seeing the growth of the youth he works with as they become productive citizens. He has received the Image Award from the Northern Oakland County branch of the NAACP for his extensive work in the community, and he has served as the Democratic National Convention Precinct Delegate from Michigan's 9th Congressional District. In addition, Bell was a guest teacher and football coach for the Pontiac School District for 12 years, and he is a reserve officer for Detroit Police Department. He also spent years living abroad in Jena, Germany, where he played professional football. I didn't know that. Okay. I found out something new about him. And I knew he played football, but I didn't know he played overseas. And he now currently and still lives in the city of Pontiac, which is a great thing for us. So with that being said, I would like to bring Mr. Bell up. And the award just says simply, Black Excellence Award. This award is to be presented to Richard Bell for being a local leader and making outstanding strides to improve Oakland County's community. Presented this 24th day of February in the year 2022 in Pontiac, Michigan, signed by Chairman Dave Woodward and myself, Commissioner Powell. So let's move to the front, and then do you guys, thank you.
Brief. Good morning. I'm honored to be standing here today. When I think of Black excellence, I think of Henry Hank Thomas. He played in the Negro Leagues, and all of the students he mentored, sponsored here in the city of Pontiac. When I think of Black excellence, I think of John Brown, the director of the Boys and Girls Club from the East Side in the 70s and 80s, who always made sure you have a safe place to go. When I think of Black excellence, I think of Obadiah McConnor, who kept the peace and the jazz going over there on Ardmore Street for over 40 years. When I think of Black excellence, I think of Aaron Bell, my younger brother who's here today, who dropped me off at college. My younger brother did, and where I rode the bench for a couple years on the football team. And don't laugh, because we're still eating off me riding the bench 30 years later. When I think of Black excellence, I think of my older brother, Archie Bell, who always kept me in trouble but protected me from danger. And so when I think of Black excellence, I think of Captain Zenzi Rogers, my girlfriend. So when she's not overseas serving and protecting the country, she's having to put up with me. And I had to always remind her that over there she's the captain, but here I'm the general. She doesn't listen to me. And then so when I think of Black excellence, I think of all the young people we've been able to impact here in the United States, Oakland County and Pontiac. Over in Windsor, Mr. Buller, who's no longer here with us, who sponsored our first trip for our kids to go over and learn about intercommerce between two countries when they got the exchange rate. So when I think of Black excellence, I think of all the young people we've been able to impact because of a lot of the people sitting right here in this room here today. When I think of Black excellence, I think of Archie and Emma Bell, my parents who are still alive today. They couldn't make it here today, but they made it all the other days. And without them, there would be no Richard Bell. So thank all of you guys. Thank Commissioner Powell, Mrs. Gershenson, Mr. Woodward, Mrs. Jackson, Mr. Spitz over here. We have a wonderful team over here. So we're winning here in Oakland County, Michigan. I might be walking around with this award. I might show up to a meeting with this award. This is my I gave it to me, I'm going to use it. Thank you so much.
Now we will bring up Commissioner Charles to present to Christy Plain. Oh, and Commissioner Long, sorry. She resides in her district.
Greetings, everyone. I am so proud to stand here with my colleague from across the aisle, Commissioner Christine Long, and I am Yolanda Charles. I represent the fine communities of portion of Southfield, a portion of Oak Park, and the entire city of Lathrop Village. And Ms. Long, you?
Oh, I represent Commerce, where the recipient lives, and a little bit of West Bloomfield, Wolverine Lake, and Walled Lake.
Thank you. Christy Plain is our special guest today, and she is here with us with her handsome husband. Christy is the Vice President for Global Talent for Brass Craft, a business unit of the Masco Corporation, where she leads human resources. Beginning her career in journalism, Plain was an award-winning editor before choosing to apply her talents to human resources. Through her work, she focuses on recruiting, training, advancing opportunities for women and minorities. Outside of her work, Plain aims to help others as Vice President for Spalding for Children's Board of Directors, and which is an adoption and foster care services agency. Plain is also a trustee for the McGregor Fund and has been recognized as a 2020 Woman of Excellence honoree by the Michigan Chronicle, and in 2021, Diversity Business Leader by Core Magazine, and she lives in Commerce, as we mentioned. I'd like to bring Miss Christy Plain to the front of the room. My Toastmasters say you got to clap till they get to the lectern. So this is my first time presenting, so I would like to share this with you by way of your commissioner, Ms. Christine Long. Black Excellence Award. This award is presented to Christy Plain, 2022, for being a local leader and making outstanding strides to improve the Oakland County community. With that, Ms. Plain, this is yours. We would, is it picture or talk? Picture, and okay. You can say great. Right in front of you.
I'm not going to be nearly as eloquent as my predecessor there. It did an excellent job. Thank you all very much. I'm truly humbled to receive this award, and particularly because it's the inaugural one. I was surprised to receive the call from Commissioner Charles. Thank you for championing me for this. The reason it matters the most to me is because Spalding for Children actually nominated me for this. They're near and dear to my heart. I've been working with them for over a decade. And what Spalding does, if you're not familiar, is that they help to find permanent and foster homes for the children that are the hardest to place. The ones that no one wants because they're older, maybe they have a disability, or some other reason. And so it's a very important mission. Spalding believes every child deserves a home, and that's what we work on. And so if you're not familiar with this, please look up Spalding. And likewise, equally as proud of the work that I do with the McGregor Fund, which also works to alleviate the effects of poverty on people and families in Metro Detroit. So thank you again for this. Greatly appreciate it, and happy Black History Month.
Next, we will have my colleague, Commissioner Janet Jackson, come and honor our third recipient.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell, and thank you. I'm very proud to be presenting this award today as part of the inaugural Outstanding Strides to Improve Oakland County through our nominees for this award. Brenda Williams. I'd like to today introduce Brenda to some and present her to others because I'm sure there are people here that are familiar with her great works. Brenda is a visionary and impact coach. She runs a girls' leadership program for those 8 to 18 years old called the Power of Girlhood. She is a bilingual poet. She is the founder of the Poetry Pages and Scribes Poetry Series at the Southfield Public Library. I want to stop right there for a minute. At what age did you begin that series? 27 years old. She began a community poetry series, an activity that enhanced the creative voice in our community, because as I continue on about Brenda, you'll see that her activities enlist the creative community in her efforts. She has served as a poet in residence for Inside Out Literary Arts. She has been a featured speaker at South by Southwest in 2016. Listen to Your Mother and Toyota Motor Company. In addition, she has been a panelist for the Build Institute and Bamboo Detroit, and she has curated panels for Wayne State University Latin and Latino Studies departments, Academia del Pueblo, covering the intersections of race, gender, age, and orientation. She is a resident and proud graduate of Southfield Public Schools. And please take a moment to look at her speaker sheet and bio and all her accomplishments. So, Ms. Williams, may you please step up? I am so proud to present this to this queen. And this award is presented to Brenda Williams for being a local leader and making outstanding strides to improve the Oakland County community. This is presented this 24th day of February in this year, 2022, in Pontiac, Michigan. from the whole Oakland County Board of Commissioners and myself, and also Yolanda Charles, who is a commissioner representing the city of Southfield as well. So, Virginia, please. Say a few, oh, it's time for the photo.
So I'm gonna keep it black and I'm gonna keep it brief. So on behalf of my family, Janet Jackson, and the whole community of Southfield, I cannot say en español, muchísimas gracias para este anuncio y también estoy bastante feliz para estar aquí con ustedes. I am so happy to be here with you all to receive this award. It means so much to me, and it means a lot to our girls as well. I think when you can see a representation of yourself, you can definitely see what's possible for your future. So I don't just stand here as one individual. In the words of Maya Angelou, I come as 1,000. So I stand here for my ancestors and all of those who are going to come before me, and thank you for the soldiers that I stand on today. Thank you so much.
So I just want to say thank you to all my commissioners who helped at least get word out. Thanks for all the nominations. Oh, you want all of them to come up? Okay, yeah. Y'all just stand in the front. Come up. Dave? Okay. Oh, and just to let everybody know, this is our first one. I'm hoping that future commissioners continue to pick this up.
Another round of applause for everyone.
So again, just thank our recipients for coming, taking the time out. Thanks to our commissioners. And I hope that we continue to have this type of recognition moving forward, future years on. Thank you, Chair Woodward, for the time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Commissioner Powell. We're going to move on to our agenda, and so we have some other communications, and I'll call on Mr. Clerk to read in those communications.
Mr. Chair, there are two communications. The first dated Monday, February 14th. Dear Mr. Woodward, since March 2016, Aaron C. Thomas, who graduated from high school in Oakland County and has lived and worked in Oakland County in the Metro Detroit area most of his life, has worked for the Macomb County Department of Corporation Counsel, handling litigated matters in state and federal court, bankruptcy, and supporting the Health Department and Community Mental Health Department with various legal matters. Prior to that, Aaron Thomas worked as an assistant corporation counsel and lead attorney for Wayne County Corporation Counsel, which included serving in a management role on the department's litigation team of attorneys and support staff. Thomas began his legal career as an associate attorney at Clark Hill PLC in Detroit, Michigan, where his practice included commercial litigation, insurance litigation, bankruptcy, real estate and commercial leases, and trademark infringement. And the communication is in regard Aaron C. Thomas to serve the role of Deputy Corporation Counsel. Sincerely, David Coulter, Oakland County Executive. The second communication is dated February 24th to the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. Ladies and gentlemen, I am hereby reappointing the following individual to serve on the Oakland County Sanitary Code Appeal Board for a term ending December 31st, 2024, Commissioner William Miller. Your confirmation of this appointment is respectfully requested. Sincerely, David T. Woodward, Chairman, Oakland County Board of Commissioners.
Is there a motion to receive those communications? Moved by Commissioner McGilvery, seconded by Commissioner Weipert. Any discussion? See none. All in favor of receiving the communication say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Let the record reflect that the communications are received unanimously. Next, this will bring us to the first public comment of today's meeting. We ask that this is a portion where public comment speaks to items on the regular and consent agenda. There's a second public comment at the end of the meeting for items not on the agenda. So we ask that I will start with this list, and then anybody else who didn't sign up, I'll call on Afterwards, ask that comments be kept to 3 minutes. And please direct your comments to me. And I will start with Jerry Riley.
Good morning, Jerry Riley from Waterford. I'd like to comment on the resolution appropriating the American Rescue Plan Act. I have no objection to any support for mental health, but the Rescue Plan Act is quite encompassing. This bill provides additional relief to address the continued impact of COVID-19 on the economy, public health, state and local governments, individuals, and businesses. My point is quite simple that I'd like to speak about. It's evident that the controlling Democratic powers have no intention of releasing their grip using COVID. I would like to quote Rahm Emanuel, quote, "You never let a serious crisis go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things you think you could not do before," end quote. That's how this government has used COVID, the masks, vaccines, shutdowns to control people. And now with this incredible bill, look what's happening. National debt increasing. We are leaving behind for our children and grandchildren incredible costs and many unveiled commitments in this bill. This may appear good, but from my perspective, this is what's happening. The government uses a crisis, shuts down the economy, make multitudes of people more dependent upon the government, which is just a formula for socialism. I realize people need help, but this bill extends the grip and control of the government. Of the 11,000 sections of this bill, I just want to bring a couple to our attention to prove the point of government dependency and nothing in sight of letting go of the control. Section 1108, this section expands the pandemic electronic control benefit. Section 2302, this provides additional funding for the CDC to activate and to increase confidence in vaccines and improve vaccine rates. Now that's for vaccine that doesn't even work. Section 2401, this section provides funding for the HHS to carry out various activities to support COVID-19 testing, contact tracing, surveillance, mitigation measures. And has that worked? Here's more government independence. There's a whole section of funding that the government can do to pay for people that are out for different pay leaves, for individual paid leaves. I find that concerning. Here's one. This section provides financial assistance for COVID-19 related funeral expenses, for which the federal cost shall be 100%. Where is the line between helping people or making people more and more government dependent? In the last 2 years, with a pandemic that 99.6% people survive, has proven the federal, state, and county governments want more and more control.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Catherine Kennedy.
Good morning. My name's Catherine Kennedy from Lake Orion, and I absolutely agree with Jerry 100%. He is so right. He understands the realities, not the manipulated truths that are being circulated to try to convince us to do things that don't make any sense. That wasn't my point, but I had to give him a salute. I actually have a problem with the fact that we don't get information to have any idea what you guys are up to in a timely amount of time. During the Democratic caucus meeting the last hour, I found on page 39 of 468 of today's packet, resolution number 22035, appropriation of local fiscal recovery fund for the Oakland Together Housing Security Initiative. They said the interim rule allows the county to use the money at their own discretion now. That worries me completely. And then they have whereas roughly 3,000 homeless. Well, wait a minute. Prior report said we were about 500 homeless in Oakland County. Where'd the other 2,500 come from? Whereas Oakland County needs 11,582 additional units of worker housing to be created over the next decade. We don't even have any idea what's empty now. We have so much overbuilt in our community, and there is no inventory to know which businesses still exist, which empty buildings are. We should be doing zero changes of the zoning whatsoever because we already have so much empty property. We're creating blight by allowing anything else to be built. Whereas only 172 permanent year-round emergency shelter beds are available was what they're claiming. But the exhibits are what are most interesting. Exhibit A, to give $20 million to create the Oakland Together Attainable Housing Trust Fund. And number 2, ARPA programs. Exhibit B, Shelter Capacity Fund. And ARPA, Exhibit C, roofs, ramps, and repairs program. Now that might actually be okay. However, in all these reports I've seen all throughout the year, there's nothing that says citizens. It all says residents. And we have been putting in the FEMA money, and in January 26th, Finance approvals 8D or 8E were told they were going to be an option, but then later I heard it's both of them now. And FEMA hazard mitigation at the January 12th meeting of Finance was defined as, on page 7589, in 2018, update climate change will be the point of emphasis in the plan update. So the point of why they're updating FEMA is to insert climate change into the agenda, but frankly, the solar panels that they're proposing are obsolete already. It makes absolutely no sense. The government has no business getting into technology because they're already a decade behind where technology is really. So you need to be consulting with industry experts, not government people that actually don't implement these things. So please take a look and reject all these appropriations that we don't know who they're going to in reality.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Is there anybody else that would like to speak during public comment? If you can just come to the microphone, please keep your comments to 3 minutes, and if you can introduce your name and community of residence.
Hi, I'm Sandra Carlian from Novi, Michigan. So in regards to these grants and funds, I wanted to comment that the state of emergency for the United States was supposed to expire, as I understand it, on March 1st, but apparently has been continued. And it appears that we are continuing to act as if there is an emergency in Oakland County. When we have awards to be given, we conveniently step out from behind our plexiglass barriers that are to protect us from germs, and we march to the middle, take our masks off, and take pictures. And it's incomprehensible to me why this can be thought of as the science. So I would encourage all of you commissioners to read from Matthias Desmet. He is from Belgium, and he has introduced the concept of mass formation. Anyone who's unfamiliar with that concept, as a commissioner, you need to educate yourselves that worldwide people are dealing with mass formation right now. And in spite of all...
Can you keep your comments to items on the agenda? There is another time to speak on any other topic.
Well, it is regarding the fact that this grant money that you are appropriating is connected to that mass formation and the ideas and the narratives that are coming forth that we are not safe to be together. We have to stay 6 feet apart except when we want to gather together for a picture. And I said, it doesn't make any sense to keep these monies flowing into our communities. We need to be watching what is happening with monies and with states of emergency in Canada, because the state of emergency brings violence against peaceful protest of citizens.
Ma'am, there's nothing on the agenda dealing with Canada.
Okay, but there is something on the agenda having to do with state of emergencies. And the grant money is coming to you. Actually, it's coming to us, but you are the ones who decide the buckets and the pails for it. So the fact that these grants and these FEMA monies are coming in has been causing control from outside to come into our community. And so it does relate, even though you don't think it's germane to the discussion. And I would appreciate if you would allow me to have my 3 minutes without disrespecting me as you
Ma'am,
did
you
in
are
the
welcome to your
caucus.
3 minutes as long as you keep your comments to the
So-
items on the agenda.
Okay, I would like to suggest that some of this money that's being used be used to supply grant money to people who would like postmortem autopsies done on their family members who have died due to COVID. And since the price of autopsy was raised, they can use that money. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else that would like to speak during public comment? Again, just as a friendly reminder, please keep your comments to items on the agenda. There's another part for public comment at the end of the meeting to talk on any other topic. Is there anybody else? Seeing no further comment, we'll declare public comment closed. And that will now move us to our consent agenda. Can I get a motion to move our consent agenda? Moved by Commissioner Lubes, seconded by Commissioner Joliet. I believe there was an item that was originally on the consent agenda that's been moved to the regular agenda, so we'll take that up there. Any discussion on any of the consent agenda items? Commissioner Gingell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to speak to item, I believe it's 11A. It's the salary grade for equalization officer classification. I understand that with the opening that we had, the amount of candidates that we received for a level 4 assessor has been fairly minimal, and I understand the request to increase the bandwidth for that position and the need to have somebody classified based on the significant SEV value of Oakland County and what's required here. My only point is, I know at point in time we went through a benchmark study. We talked about using that study to adjust specific jobs and classifications. I don't know if this was one on the list. I believe it was. But a decision was made to take the money that was set aside to fund the benchmark study on a job-by-job basis and to put it across all employment roles. And I'm just wanting to make sure that we don't start seeing more and more of these come back in as a result of making the decision to spread the designated funds for benchmark individual adjustments across the entire employee population. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Gingell. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? See none. Mr. Clerk, please prompt the vote on the consent agenda. Hold a minute. One more second. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, you have 20 yeas, 0 nays.
A sufficient number voted in the affirmative. The consent agenda is adopted. This will now move us to the regular agenda. And I will economic development, all items were taken up in the consent agenda, finance as well. I'll move us to the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee, and I will recognize the chair, Commissioner Kristen Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've got 2 items on the regular agenda today. The first item is
Is the mic on?
the Board of Commissioners appointment.
Commissioner Nelson, is the mic close to you?
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Ooh, all right, thank you. So, Mr. Chair, I have 2 items on the regular agenda. The first item is item A, appointment of Oakland Community Health Network. The Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee, having considered The vacancy and expiring appointments on the Oakland Community Health Network Board on February 8th. Hereby recommend the following individuals be appointed to the OCHN for 3-year terms. The first individual, Yvette Woodruff, representative or having worked in an agency involvement with mental health. This is a 3-year term from April 1st, 2022 to March 31st of 2025. I would like to add that this seat was vacant, so this individual will be filling the vacancy as of present to March 31st of 2022. So that's why you see that additional length of time. The second individual, Sarah May, has been recommended for the general public appointed position with the remainder of a 3-year term ending March 31st of 2023. Mr. Chair, I move to recommend the following individuals.
Moved by Commissioner Nelson, seconded by Commissioner Lubes. Any discussion about these appointments to the Oakland County Health Network? Commissioner Jackson.
I just want to go on record to say, as a committee member for the LAGO committee that went through the applications for this position, I was the vote that or vote against the recommended people. But at this point in time, I am very confident in the person that is being brought forward and full support of her. I just was supporting another candidate based on her employment in the school system, looking at the mental health needs we are addressing so heavily at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Clerk, please prompt the vote on the appointments. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, you have 20 yeas, 0 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the appointments are confirmed. Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The last item is item B, Human Resources, resolution for the transfer of positions and deletion of the Central Services Department and for the creation of performance management positions. Mr. Chair, I move to recommend adoption of the foregoing resolution.
Moved by Commissioner Nelson, seconded by Commissioner Gingell. Any discussion? Commissioner Cavell.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say that...
Keep the mic close to your mouth.
How about now? So I just wanted to say I was skeptical about this resolution before receiving more information from the BOC staff about the roles and responsibilities of the positions. So now this is a great thing, and I'm happy to vote yes.
Commissioner, any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please prompt the vote. Commissioner Kokendorfer is back.
Commissioner Whiteberg. Mr. Chair, you have 19 yeas, 1 nay.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, that concludes the reports of the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee.
Excellent, thank you. All items under the Public Health and Safety Committee were taken up under the consent agenda. This will move us to reports of special committees, and we have a special committee of the Ad Hoc Response Ad Hoc Committee, and I will call on the chair of that committee, Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 17A, we have a resolution to release of funding to the Oakland Community Health Network for the mental health needs of the Oxford community, and we have an amendment to that, so I'm assuming we'll take the amendment first.
So moved by Commissioner Spiz, seconded by Commissioner Miller, and I believe there's an amendment, so.
Yep, the amendment in front of us is to adjust the funding. The original request was for $500,000 to support the mental health needs of the Oxford community. The amendment is an increase of that by $70,000 for OCHN for one half a head and another $35,000 for SG&A support, so administration costs.
So moved by Commissioner Spiz, seconded by Commissioner Miller. And I just to add to that, these dollars that we reserved money for the Oxford response, and they're coming from there, and so there are more than enough dollars to cover that increase in expense to administer this funding for to support those students, families, and faculty impacted by the Oxford tragedy. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, can we prompt the vote on the amendment?
Mr. Chair, on the amendment, you have 21 yeas, 0 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the amendment is adopted. That brings us back to the main motion. Any discussion? Commissioner Spiz.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just want to clarify and remind everybody what this is intended for. It's a 100% reimbursement program for the community of Oxford, so not only the students, but their families. So anybody that has high copays, et cetera, from a mental health perspective, this will help support that. There are many programs out there, but they all have limitations to them. This one does not have limitations other than you have to be in the Oxford community and from the school district.
Great. Yes, and thank you, Commissioner Spiz, for your leadership on this. The contract with OCHN to build on contracts that we already have is also attached as a part of this, and thank you for agreeing to lead the Oxford Response Committee. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please prompt the vote on the amendment. On the motion, on the resolution as amended.
Commissioner Kuhn? Mr. Chair, you have 21 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted as amended. Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Moving on to 17B. It's an interlocal agreement with the Charter Township of Oxford for the Oxford Township Economic Recovery for the businesses in the community.
Moved by Commissioner Spiz, seconded by Commissioner Miller. Any discussion? Commissioner Spiz.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. If you all recall, we assigned $100,000 to the businesses in Oxford, and this is an interlocal
Commissioner
agreement.
Spiz, just so people can hear you, can you bring the
Yep.
mic closer to your mouth?
Yeah, this is an agreement with the Charter Township of Oxford to manage these funds. Originally, we were going to look to do it through the county and contract with each one of the businesses, but to be a little bit more efficient, we felt it was best to contract directly with the Charter Township of Oxford, and they will work directly with the businesses in that community, similar to what we did with the restaurant grant last year.
And the actual act, I mean, we are entering into an interlocal agreement with the Township of Oxford to administer this. Any further discussion? Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank Commissioner Spiz for the work he's doing. We all have jobs outside of this job, and he's taken this on, and it's been like a third, fourth job, making sure everything's done right, connecting with all the community, and being affected by this as well as taking this initiative. It's like beyond me, and he's like like a superhero in this area right here, because I don't know if I could do it, right? Because you're directly affected, your kids, you know, so this takes a lot. So I want to just hats off to him and appreciate the work he's doing.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Excellent. Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Clerk, please prompt the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 21 yeas, 0 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted. Commissioner Spiz.
That concludes the report for the Oxford Response Ad Hoc.
Thank you very much. All right, that was, that moves on to special order of business. There is none. Unfinished business, there is none. This will move us to new and miscellaneous business. And I will start by calling on Commissioner McGilvery.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to introduce a miscellaneous resolution, appropriation of American Rescue Plan money for recovery funds for the establishment of healthy community parks and outdoor recreation programs.
And we're going to refer that to Lago and Finance simultaneously. Referred without objection. Next up, I will call on Commissioner Kowal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a miscellaneous resolution declaring Oakland County support, respect, and appreciation of our law enforcement officers. I ask that be referred to Lago.
Referred without objection. And next, I will call on Commissioner Lubes.
I'm asking for a suspension of the rules for the contract with WellPath for medical services at the Oakland County Jail.
So Commissioner Lubes moves to suspend the rules to take up the contract with WellPath, the topic we discussed at the last meeting, seconded by Commissioner Gingell. All in favor of suspending the rules to take up this item immediately, say aye. 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 Opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect that the motion to suspend the rules to take up this item passed unanimously. And Commissioner Lubes moves the resolution to enter into the contract with WellPath LLC for medical services at the Oakland County Jail, seconded by Commissioner Gingell. Any discussion? I don't see any discussion. Just to say that this contract is before us. This was one of those contracts that was flagged during our budget process to come before the board for ratification. We appropriated the funding for this at our last meeting, and this is the contract itself to move forward to continue the medical services at the Oakland County Jail. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Clerk, will you prompt the vote on this resolution? Oh, okay. Please, if it prompts up, vote again.
Commissioner Jackson? Commissioner Kuhn?
Yes.
Yeah, just move on. I think he stepped out. Yep. Are we just waiting on him?
Mr. Chair, you have 20 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The resolution is adopted. Thank you. Is there any other new and miscellaneous business? I believe we've covered it. Seeing none, we'll move to announcements. Are there any announcements for the group? Commissioner Miller, followed by Commissioner Gingell.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick one. I talked to Steve Curry from MAC, Michigan Associated Counties. If anybody's interested in getting on a committee or a board or anything like that, please reach out to him. He's, I know it's not well promoted. I asked him maybe to come to our meeting sometime because, especially for the new commissioners, if you don't know, you don't know, right? So they're always looking for new members on different committees and what have you. So if there's an interest, reach out to Steve Curry and then he can walk you through what you have to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gingell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to take the opportunity to congratulate Dennis Cowan, who was recently named the Michigan Lawyers Hall of Fame class of 2022. And we all know him and have done things with him, so would like to request through the chair that the staff prepare a proclamation recognizing Dennis, and maybe we can get him in here and present it. So,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Sounds good. And then I also want to recognize Commissioner Miller at the National Association of Counties Conference. Did an excellent job facilitating a panel on workforce development with some of the experts around the country in that space. And thank you for not volunteering your time and keeping Oakland County on the national stage.
Just to add on that, if you ever are asked to be on a panel, keep your background limited. You can ask Commissioner Kowal.
I concur, yes. It starts with when I was in the 4th grade and goes from there, so I need to cut those down.
Absolutely. Well, any further announcements? Seeing none, this will move us to our second public comment, and same general practice as before. I'll start with folks that signed in here on the list, and then this is an opportunity to speak on any comment, whether it was on the agenda or not. Keep your comments to 3 minutes. And I'll start again with Mr. Riley.
I'm back. Hi. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jerry Riley from Waterford. I would like to take a few moments to explain some of my background, and that could probably explain a better how I hold some positions passionately and how I view things. It might help you understand me, basically. I spent my career as an institutional chaplain for the Michigan Department of Corrections at Alger Maximum Correctional Facility in the Upper Peninsula. Two things were outstanding in this job. The first and the most important was security. The second is an issue we dealt with constantly, and that was the issue of control. With a prisoner at this level of confinement, they find themselves with limited control, and anything that they had control of was magnified and amplified. So most of the issues of conflict dealing with prisoners had to deal with boundaries. Now, on the other side, when custody had so much control, there needs to be strong boundaries also. We had policy directives, operating procedures, and director memorandums, and many roles to control staff. And those with little control, the prisoners, were very dependent upon those who had the most control. So in that environment, I really learned to discern whether spiritual, emotional, or even natural behaviors of people being controlled and how they respond, or how staff who would respond by controlling or operating in healthy government. So now we jump to today, not in prison, but in society where many people have lost control of many things. And those with power have gained more control and wanting more. Even today, people are readily discerning the difference in leadership, whether federal, state, or even county. Are these leaders, are they being motivated by this thing called control, or are they governing from a healthy perspective that all political power is inherent in the people? Government is instituted for their equal benefit, security, and protection. I'm very passionate about this point because we're all being hit very hard with control. And I can guarantee that come November, even though there are many issues that affect many people and how they vote, the greatest issue from this side of the plexiglass here, of those regarding you folks that want to be reelected, have they ruled from a healthy government representing the people, or are they governing from control and maybe representing another agenda? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next up, I have Ross Barranco.
Ross Barranco, Novi. Tasha from Clarkston brought this issue up a year ago, and she brought it up again today in the majority caucus. I was hoping if I'm going to ask some questions. I know they will be rhetorical because you're not allowed to directly answer questions. But if U of M Medicine sends a letter out that says, if you're not white, you're going to be removed from the transplant list. Or if they said that if you're not male, you'll be removed from the transplant list. I hope everyone here will be appalled to hear that from U of M. I received a letter on February 1st that said, if you are not vaccinated, you'll be removed from the transplant list. I think that's against my religion. I think it's against my medical benefit. I already have microscopic polyangiitis, which guard my lungs. The vaccines cause blood clots. You can get a pulmonary embolism from blood clots. So there are medical reasons that I don't want to take the vaccine. There are religious issues with taking the vaccine with fetal cells. And there's also constitutional reasons that I don't want to take the vaccine, because no one should be able to demand a person to to have themselves injected with a fluid that they don't want injected into their bodies. So I think that's a constitutional right that's protected. And as a elected body, I wanted to address the entire full body and request that you tell U of M how appalled you are, just like as if they were saying that if you're black, you're off the list. If you're female, you're off the list. If you're non-Asian, you're off the list. Those are discriminatory practices, and that's what this is. This is medical discrimination. And that's what Tasha was addressing since a year now. So I hope to get the commission behind this, and I'll be sending the emails of the letter that I was sent on February 1st, and also the email contacts for all of the UM doctors and physicians and administrators and that signed off on this illegal, unconstitutional vaccine mandate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Catherine Kennedy.
It's still morning. Catherine Kennedy from Lake Orion. So, as you see, we have some impassionate citizens that even came out at this ungodly hour, even though you changed the time from 6 p.m. when most people are not working to early morning during the workday, which I find a little concerning to begin with. The fact that I couldn't get documents to actually see what you're going to talk about in advance, also concerning. But I greatly appreciate Ms. Coal's proposal of the resolution declaring Oakland County support, respect, and appreciation of law enforcement officers. One thing I would add is I don't believe that Chairman Woodward should have authority to change the sheriff contract by 15%, period. So that's that. Next thing, FEMA. FEMA's being modified for, it was said, undefined climate change. Oh my goodness. Where do you go there? FEMA's being used across the country to import illegals and distribute them internally throughout our country. It doesn't matter that they're illegal, doesn't matter whether they're vetted for national security, doesn't matter what disease they may have. It just doesn't matter. It's our expense, they've got it accounted for, even though it violates the laws that are in the Federal Register, which, by the way, is the actual document where real laws are contained. So any media stuff you read, you should ignore. You need to go direct to the bills, direct to the Federal Register, direct to the Senate. All the rest is nonsense. So lo and behold, the Democratic caucus, I find page 39 of 468. We've got resolution number 22035, appropriation of local fiscal recovery fund for the Oakland Together Housing Security Initiative, based on an interim rule that allows the county to use the money at their own discretion. Those words just pain my heart because I see how they're using things at their own discretion. And whereas they're saying that roughly 3,000 homeless exist in Oakland County, How come it was that? It was about 500 in the last report I saw in writing. So somehow we accumulated 2,500 more. Whereas the Oakland County need the additional units for housing, we need to inventory our real estate and stop these zoning changes. You know, I found that they were only giving notice to people that were 300 feet away to change 11.5 acres to a bunch of townhomes, even though the homes in that area are acreage parcels, and most of them have more than 300 deep. Think about that. At the beginning of the street, with 300 feet, you can't even get to the end of your lot, and that's as far they have to notify you. It's absurd. So there's a lot of zoning that's been going on, and I just caught on to that one. So we need a whole other committee for that. We need to preserve what we have. People have changed the word conservative to mean something dirty. It just means not wasteful. And once you figure out the government only takes money from we the people, you don't want them to be wasteful. So we need conservative management of our fiscal responsibilities, and it needs to be prioritized for law-abiding citizens only. Stop giving away the farm to the illegal immigrants that are here with a lot of problems that brings our way. We do not need to import that pain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Anybody else that would like to speak during public comment on any topic?
Sandra Carlan, still from Novi. And I'd like to applaud Catherine's research. I wonder how many of you have read the bills and the resolutions that you pass as carefully as she's read them. Undefined climate change, that was a new one on me. Undefined anything should not be approved by this body. Not defining something is a problem. So just through my time in the caucus in here, I just wanted to get my feelings out. I do that sometimes poetically. I wish the poet hadn't left. Rushed and confused, we move forth with resolutions. In an election year, we must have some solutions. We can't allow the minority party to win, so give out more money and map more D votes in. Technicalities addressed, the public comments are few. We are the elites and we know what to do. Though professionals are brought in to consult here for free, we'd rather pay our experts that confirm what we see. There's so many buckets and so much federal money. The packet's so long, it just isn't funny. Suspending the rules happens oftener than not, and remove from agenda the things too hot, the issues too hot. The local issues are important, the grant issues too, but watching Canada should have some clear lessons for you. We the people come here in peaceful protest to speak, to be heard and respected is the courtesy we seek. Agenda specific, new information made clear. We ask that you make old and new business transparent here. You fill up your buckets and talk about pails while the freedom of citizens goes off the rails. I don't stand against the funding of any worthy county needs, but this fire hose of federal money just feeds counties' greed. The strings that are attached with socialist-leaning administrations ought to cause caution to grip us as we watch other nations. Ukraine attacked and taken over in the few hours behind us. And it may soon be Taiwan who will be ruled without justice. Just doing our job won't cut it anymore. The truckers are assembling to let their voices roar. Look up mass formation. See if you've been deceived. Now this comment is finished, and you're all relieved.
Thank you very much. Anybody else that would like to speak during public comment? Welcome.
Hi, I'm Beth Felix from Clarkston. I don't have much to say today, but I came across this quote from St. Augustine, and I think it sums up why many of us are here week after week or month after month. He says, "Hope has two beautiful daughters. Their names are anger and courage. Anger at the way things are, and courage to see that they do not remain as they are." Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak during public comment? Seeing none, I'm going to recognize Commissioner Powell that I think we skipped over on announcements. You can speak during public comment real quick.
Yep, just really quick. I just wanted to bring attention to my colleagues. Oakland County Sheriff Powell is having their annual Pala Gala this year, Friday, April 29th at 6:30, and it's going to be hosted at the Oakland County International Airport. And again, you all have in the past supported this event, and I just wanted to call out on you all to support again. Just to let you know, Oakland County Sheriff Powell is to serve communities that are underserved in resources. And a lot of the kids now are in the city of Pontiac. Sheriff Bouchard has been doing an amazing job, and I want to make sure my colleagues know that no governmental funding is used for this. All funds to support Sheriff Powell is fundraised through the organization. So please, if you can contribute, I want to keep this program going in my community and throughout Oakland County, because he's looking to expand to help in other areas as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right. With that, I will declare us adjourned until March 10th, 2022, or call the chair. Have a good day, everyone.
Mark,